It's episode 127 of the Keto for Women show. You're listening to the Keto for Women show. This podcast provides the tools you need to create your own expression of a healthy ketogenic lifestyle so you can stop obsessing and start living. I'm your host and nutritionist, Shawn Miner. Now, let's get on with the show. Hey, friends. Welcome back. Thanks as always for joining me on this episode of Keto for Women. Today, I'm taking you over to the other side, my other podcast, Unstuck. I know I have mentioned it several times here on the Keto for Women show, but for those of you who haven't yet tuned in over there, I really want to give you a taste or a sense of what we will be doing on that podcast and if it applies to you. And really, regardless of if working on your mindset and having a healthy mindset is something that interests you, I think it still is important for you to understand what it means when you do have mental or emotional blocks in your physical body, how that can manifest, which is what we talk about in the episode I'm going to share with you. So how it can manifest physically, but then also in your life circumstances. So other things that may be going on in your life that you don't think have anything to do with anything and just are kind of the cards you have been dealt. There could be something more to that, and I want you to explore it. So that's why regardless, if Unstuck isn't for you and you don't want to be a part of it, that's totally fine and cool. Obviously, it's your choice, but I do want to at least give you this information that I shared. This is episode 2 of the Unstuck podcast, and if you've already listened to it, you've been over there, you can either re-listen to it, which I think would be great, or you can just head over there and there's a new episode for you waiting over there today. But even if you don't think this information is for you, you're not interested, just give me the next 30 minutes because I still think regardless, you can get a lot from knowing this information and knowing if you are someone who is stuck. And if so, how to get unstuck. Now, if what I say in the next 30 minutes does resonate with you, please go over and listen to at least episode 3 of Unstuck. Again, you can find that wherever you're currently listening to Keto for Women. You can search Unstuck and find it right there. Download episode 3 and listen to it because it makes so much sense. Everything falls into place and comes together, and then you can decide if you want to do this work or not, because it's actually quite simple. It's very simple. Is it easy? No, not always, but this work is very important, something I'm obviously passionate about, and something I think that a lot of you could really get behind and see some significant improvements. I've already had many women contact me to talk about the improvements that they have seen. I've only released 5 episodes as of the time this airs, now 6, I guess, as of today. So the work is important and it's helpful and it can be very quick for you to start noticing changes. So without further ado, let's go to the episode of Unstuck where I talk about how to know if you're stuck, essentially the signs to look for if you could be stuck and if you need to get unstuck. And then from there, head over to episode 3 of Unstuck and listen to that to find out more information about how to really, truly, finally, absolutely get unstuck. All right, let's head over there. Hey ladies, welcome back to another episode of the Unstuck podcast. Today, we're going to go over what you need to look for to see if you are in fact stuck, which of course would then mean that you would need to get unstuck, which is great that you're already here listening to the Unstuck podcast. Now, today's main point that we want to drive home, your thoughts beliefs, emotions, and actions manifest themselves both in your physical body, which of course can swing either way in your favor or not in your favor, depending on what kinds of thoughts and emotions you're having, but then also in your life circumstances, again, positively or negatively, depending on whether your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are positive or negative. That is what you need to understand about this whole episode. It's your one key takeaway for today. So let me say it again. Your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and actions manifest themselves both in your physical body and dictate your life circumstances. And it's all going to be based on what kinds of thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and actions you have. And really, this is the definition of being stuck versus unstuck, at least how I think of it and how I hope you think of it too from now on. Other ways we can kind of put it, here's a couple different ones. First of all, forcing versus flowing. How about resisting versus allowing? Controlling versus relaxing? And then, of course, out of alignment versus being in alignment. As you can see, forcing, resisting, controlling, being out of alignment, that's when you get stuck. And then once you learn or get back to being flowing, allowing, relaxing, and in alignment, we are unstuck. Right? So this is how I really want us to think about this as we move forward, and we'll get into the details of what all of these words mean and how to incorporate all of these words and feelings into our lives. As of today, this is what we need to know. When you are stuck, it means you have an energy block or even an energy miscommunication, you can think of it, somewhere. It could be in your physical body, or even in your mental and emotional space. And of course, like our key takeaway, then that means that block of energy or that miscommunication of energy is now being transferred or manifested in our physical body or in our life circumstances, right? So in someone that is unstuck, everything just flows. Their health is good, their life is good, their thoughts are positive. There are no blocks, there's no resistance, there's no forcing, there's no massive efforting, and everything just seems to come naturally and easily. This is someone who is unstuck. And in someone that is stuck, there is this like essence of struggle, of just being in this uphill battle, lots of trying and efforting. And I think really that's one of the biggest ways to determine this for yourself, but then also see in other people if this person is stuck or unstuck, and if you are stuck or unstuck, is where is the effort? Is there a lot of struggle and efforting, or is it kind of this like flow type situation and there is no massive effort there? Now, here is a really good way to picture it. So think of a river with rapids and bumps and rocks to get over, things like that. And you're on a raft in this river. So you basically have two choices when you're in this raft on this river. You can either go smoothly down the river along with the current, allow the bumps to come and go, allow the rocks to come and go, maneuver around them as they come, and navigate this whole situation pretty darn easily, effortlessly, you would say, because you're going with the current of the river. You're letting the water take you where it needs to go in order to get down the river, right? Or you can also decide to go up the river on this raft, and you can go against the current, or at least try to, and against the rapids, not going to go very well, right? And in order to do that, you have to struggle and force and really work hard to go up that darn river, and you're probably even not going to get very far. So that is like, I just love this analogy. Obviously, going down the river is unstuck. We're going with the current. We're going with the flow of life. And trying to force and struggle your way upstream against the current is being stuck. And many of us are trying to go upstream right now. We're trying to force and effort our way in a place where our body, our life, our energy doesn't want to be. So now you still might, well, some of you might be thinking, yeah, this is me. This is definitely me. This is definitely the people in my life. We're all kind of doing this. I can see this very clearly. And some of you might still be wondering or thinking that you're not stuck. And I do want to say I want to put thinking in air quotes, because if you're trying to think about whether you're stuck or not, or if you're thinking that you're fine and you don't need this and all is good, then that means your ego is taking over, and it might be then making it pretty hard to see that you are actually going upstream and that you are efforting. And that ego, it doesn't really want you to know that. It doesn't want you to think that. It wants to stay where it's safe and comfortable, and it knows what to expect, and it can just live in fear its whole life. So it may not want you to know that you're stuck too. So be aware of that. And really, a lot of us were taught at a young age that effort and hard work would lead to success. And that's kind of what we needed to do to get anywhere in life, is that we needed to really effort and try and try and try and never stop working and never stop trying and never be able to relax, because we have to be successful. And that's the way to do it. So it might also be that you have this conditioning or this belief now that doesn't want you to think that this efforting is making you stuck, or even just not allowing you to see that this past of efforting has now led you to this place of being really out of alignment and trying to force everything in your life. So I really want you to try to work through that identity, that belief system, or even just your ego, and make sure that you have really come to terms with what's going on. And if there are some places in your life that could use some freeing up of energy and aligning up of energy to get you to a better place. We'll get into all of this in future episodes, but just remember right here, right now, going upstream, going downstream, what's really going on in your life. So think about that. And also remember, it all comes back to energy blocks, energy miscommunication, energy shutdowns. And that's what we're really after here, is realigning our energy, getting our energy to match up with what we want instead of what we don't want. It's all coming up, and I cannot wait to chat about this with you. This episode is sponsored by Ned. You guys, I am so incredibly excited to finally be able to share with you a brand of hemp products that I fully trust, respect, and stand behind 100%. I have spent over a year researching CBD and hemp brands for both myself and you, of course, but there are so many companies out there doing it all wrong. It's scary. I finally found Ned and immediately fell in love. I had a wonderful, informative conversation with the co-founder, who gave me the rundown on their processes, assuring me that their hemp was organically grown under the very best conditions right here in Colorado, not too far from Boulder, actually. He explained to me their very gentle, slow, and cold ethanol-based extraction means none of the vital nutrients in the hemp are compromised, and that they only produce full-spectrum hemp products because they retain and concentrate all the naturally occurring healing compounds in the plant, which provides the full spectrum of the plant's potency. Obviously very important. And then he went on to talk about their brand new women's natural cycle line. Can this company get any cooler? They now carry 4 Ned products perfectly in sync with the 4 phases of your natural cycle. They are all slow crafted with love from seed to bottle by an extraordinary group of women, and are made with all natural, organic, non-GMO, and ethically wild crafted ingredients. I was sold. I have now been taking the natural cycle line for a few months and have been absolutely loving it. My periods have been smooth sailing, no cramps, no PMS, just an easy cycle all month long. I now have my dad on Ned's full spectrum hemp oil for his joint pain and sleep issues, and my sister on it for her stress and mood management. With 4 kids between the ages of 4 and 12 and being a full-time high school math teacher, she needs hemp in her life. I kid you not, they both sent me a text a few days after their delivery saying, "I think this hemp stuff really works." Literally, both the exact same text to me. Obviously, they are now both hooked, And side note, I should mention I have never gotten either one of them to take anything ever. So this is a big deal. For those that don't know much about hemp, here's the deal. Hemp has been used for thousands of years to support health and wellness, and despite the common misconception, does not get you high. What it will do, however, is help regulate homeostasis in nearly every biological system in your body, bringing balance to body and mind by nourishing your body's endocannabinoid system. While I would love to spend more time explaining exactly why and how all of this works, I will instead refer you to Ned's website, helloned.com, to get all the education and background on the magic that is hemp. It really works. That's all I have to say. If you are dealing with inflammation, pain, mood issues, sleep issues, PMS, hormone imbalance, whether cycling or not, stress management issues, or just want to feel better, Ned's hemp is your new best friend. Ned is offering our listeners 15% off your first order plus free shipping. Head to helloned.com and use code Shawn, SHAWN, at checkout. Again, helloned.com, coupon code Shawn for 15% off your first order plus free shipping. Get ready to fall in love with Ned. All right. Let's go through some symptoms and signs that show in people who are stuck. This would really be how I would determine, based on looking at someone, a client or something like that, whether that person needs some mindset work on those thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions. This is what I would use to determine these signs and symptoms. Take notes on which ones come up for you, which ones you can connect with, or you have going on right now, or you had at some point in the past. Really pay attention to how this shows up in you. And don't freak out about it. It's very common. Many of us have these signs of being stuck. Instead, get excited because we're about to change everything for you as we continue to learn more on how to get unstuck all throughout this show. Now, let's start with our physical symptoms. Of course, illness and disease is a sign that you are stuck. Having pain, especially joint pain, chronic pain that you can't seem to get rid of, it always comes back or it just sticks around. Not being at your body's weight set point. So anything that keeps you from being able to do that is a sign of being stuck. Food sensitivities, big sign of being stuck. Hormonal imbalance, which would be having painful periods or PMS, having amenorrhea, which means you don't have a period at all, or difficult menopause too, and even infertility. These are all part of a hormonal imbalance that means that you are stuck. Having gut health issues, which could look like constipation, diarrhea, bloating, pain, anything that leaves you feeling not so great in your stomach after you eat, all signs of being stuck. Skin disruptions, could be acne, it could be rashes, anything like that, headaches, migraines, adrenal imbalances or issues, poor sleep, inflammation. As you see, the list could probably go on because basically what it's saying is that if you have physical symptoms, so if you have health issues, health symptoms, imbalances, things not going well as far as your physical health, yes, there are, of course, things that you are doing physically that could help or hurt, but also you've got to look at your mental and emotional health too. You can't just focus on the physical part, which again is what I talked about in the last episode when I got to the point where I had to do this podcast because of this issue. We can't turn our backs to the mental and emotional healing that needs to happen when you need physical healing as well. So it is a part of your entire healing protocol. All the healing tools you're using, whether that's diet, supplements, testing, medication, everything you're doing right now to be physically well, the mental and emotional healing protocol going on along with it. You have to do that work too. And that's what we're missing here in the vast majority of women, at least that I worked with, but I'm pretty certain it extends beyond that too. Let's start doing this work together. This is what we're going to do on the Unstuck podcast. Now let's turn and look at some of the mental and emotional aspects of being stuck, because it's not just physical. They often come out as mental or emotional symptoms when you have energy that is stuck. Depression and anxiety, even stress, like just feeling overly stressed or not being able to handle stress. Negative thought patterns, if you find yourself always complaining or feeling like things aren't going well for you, this constant spiral of negative thoughts in your head. And trust me, I've been there. I know what it's like. That means you're stuck. Living in the past or future. So not staying focused on the present moment, but worrying about what's coming up in the future or ruminating on what happened in the past. You are stuck if that is the case for you. The constant chatter in your head, if you find this constant chatter and often it's leading you, again, into the past or future, not good. We really need to focus and stay with our intuition and stick with the present moment. And that is what leads to getting unstuck. Very similarly, inability to connect with your intuitive sense. This is a big one, especially as a nutritionist, when I discuss intuitive eating and using my intuition to determine what foods I eat, when I eat, how much, how often, all that stuff. The biggest question I get is, what does that sound like? How do I find that? I don't feel that. I don't sense that at all. We are not connected with our intuition, and that means we are stuck. Binge eating and emotional eating also means this too. It is 100% based on your mindset and your mental and emotional health. Disordered eating and disordered exercise patterns, whether that's under eating, overeating, under exercising, over exercising, of course, diagnosed eating disorders such as anorexia, bulimia, binge eating disorder, all of those. They're signs that you're stuck. Your energy is stuck. Lack of motivation, huge. Body image issues, also huge. Lack of self-worth, inability to love yourself now as you are. Being judgy, I think that's huge. Judging of others or yourself, really, for that matter, but being judgy of other people, that's a sign there's something going on in you. Being in the comparison trap, which is really hard to not be in these days with media in general, but then social media making it 7,000 times worse. So looking at that, going through the motions of life instead of actually pursuing your passions and your purpose and living your life to the fullest. Big piece of the puzzle. Obsession with your weight and the scale. Seeking outside approval. Having hidden past beliefs, which will basically be everyone, unless you grew up in a bubble. We all have hidden past beliefs from our childhood, hidden in our subconscious minds that a lot of times we don't even know are there. And we especially don't even know that they are still impacting us today and the choices we make, the emotions we feel, the thoughts we think. It's affecting us on a huge level and we don't even know. So if you feel like that could be you, that is a sign of being stuck. All right, so now I want to move on to life circumstances that can show up as really just being stuck energy and needing to get into alignment again, because we've now gone through the physical symptoms, the mental and emotional symptoms that could be signs or are signs that you have some stuck energy and you need to get unstuck. But I think it's a little harder sometimes to view what's going on in our lives as this same scenario. It's almost easier to see that our physical symptoms are energetic blocks. But when it's happening, when things happen in our lives, we suddenly lose that sense and we just think that we have bad luck or things don't go our way or this is just how life is. And so these are what I really want to get across to you, to really start looking at everything in your life, every single part of your life, to really get an idea of what's going on with your energy. Let's start with health. We're going back to health. So yes, everything we just talked about going on, you have these symptoms, right? But then you also are unable to get well. You're not seeing improvements with any changes you make, anything you do, any protocols you get in. You might see a little improvement, but you can't seem to get yourself out of the hole entirely and to this really awesome place of health. You can't seem to get there. You seem to be a little stuck. Weird. Also, you have a reoccurrence. So it could be that you do heal whatever needs to be healed, but then it comes back again, or it comes back as something slightly different. And then I think the last thing I'll say about health is just if you don't have the motivation or the drive, or you're just not interested in getting healthy. I mean, it's totally your choice and that's totally cool, but that kind of feeling that you have, or that lack of desire, that lack of feeling towards getting well, will definitely be a sign of some stuck energy there. Before we move on, I have yet another awesome brand to introduce you to that has a mission of creating natural, toxin-free, clean products for your life, and that is Native. Native creates safe, simple, effective products that people use in their bathroom every day, like deodorant, toothpaste, bar soap, and body wash. They use trusted ingredients that actually work. Their products are formulated without aluminum, parabens, and talc. They're filled with ingredients found in nature, such as coconut oil, which is antimicrobial, shea butter for moisturizer and emollient, and tapioca starch, which absorbs wetness. There is no animal testing on any of their products either. People love Native. With over 8,000 five-star reviews, Native has been featured in places like The Today Show, Women's Health, Elle Magazine, Good Morning America, Pop Sugar, Nylon, Hello Giggles, and more. Something we all love to see, less is more with Native. They have fewer, simpler ingredients, which is so important to all of us Keto for Women listeners now, so you know every single thing that's going into the product that you're using every single day in your bathroom. They also have great scents. Native comes in a wide variety of enticing scents like coconut vanilla, lavender rose, and cucumber mint. And they even release limited edition seasonal scents throughout the year. That sounds super fun to me. I want to be a part of that. They've also made sure to include unscented formulas and baking soda-free formulas for those with specific sensitivities. I've had the pleasure of adding Native products to my life for a little bit now, and I'm really loving them. I chose the lavender rose scent. Smells amazing, not too strong, which is really important to me. It's just a hint of this amazing lavender rose scent all day long. It's great. I've really put it to the test going to the gym and getting sweaty or having these long summer hikes. I leave feeling fresh, which is my big clue that they are actually working and will be effective. So that means they're clean and they're effective, which is so important for us to find. We've spent a lot of time lately talking about detoxifying our lives and products. I'm committed to bringing you trustworthy brands that make it easy for you to make this switch, because I know it can be hard. Native is one of those brands I can fully get behind. And for Keto for Women listeners right now, they are giving you 20% off your first purchase when you visit nativedeodorant.com and use promo code KETO4WOMEN during checkout. That's 20% off your first purchase over at Native, going to nativedeodorant.com and use that promo code KETO4WOMEN. And a big thanks to them for supporting this podcast and helping bring this episode to air. Now let's move into some other things that we will talk about here on this show, which I've never really talked about in a lot of my other podcasts because we were so focused on nutrition that we didn't get a chance to talk about money and love and business, things that I have a lot to say about, to be quite honest, because I've been in a pretty bad place with all of the above and changed all of the above. So I do really want to get into that. And that's why I took the time to share my story with you all on the first episode. So we'll get into all of this in a lot more detail, but I have some just kind of ideas. I don't think this remotely covers everything that could be going on as far as life circumstance in these areas, but this is just to start getting the ball rolling on the conversation and on you becoming more aware of your life circumstances and how they're really affecting you and how much you really could change about your life. So when it comes to money, obviously, if you're struggling to make ends meet, or you're in a lot of debt and keep accumulating debt and can't get out of debt, if you never find the sources of abundance that you're looking for, if you just seem to be, again, we're going to use the word because it just works, stuck in this place that you're at as far as the money that you make, and you want to make more, but you never seem to find out how. Also, huge one, hoarding money or being afraid to spend money. So you make the money, but then you're so afraid that it's going to go away, you're not going to have it. You seem to think of money as this limited resource. And so you are afraid to spend it. Huge. Not believing that you deserve or are worthy of making money or having abundance. That is a belief that many of us have. So that's something to really start considering. And then just having an overall negative money mindset, just thinking of money as something that is stressful or hard to come by, never have enough. There's not enough to go around in this world, anything like that. These are all stories, right? Stories that we tell ourselves about money. So that are just a few things that you can start thinking about in your life. As far as love or partnership goes, of course, not finding love, especially when you want it, right? I mean, if you don't want a partner, cool. That's awesome. Good for you for knowing that about yourself. But if you do want to find love and you're not finding it, or you're constantly finding love in the wrong places with the wrong people, you keep going back to the same people that don't work for you, that is another sign. Being in a relationship that is not loving anymore, or not being able to leave the wrong relationship. All of those are signs, of course, of potential stuck energy. Now, moving on to business or career, we have things like not following your passion, not doing what you actually love, not even taking the time to think about what your passion is and then go after it, not enjoying what you do, feeling this sense of complacency in your job or your business, whatever it is that takes up a lot of your time, and being unable to leave the wrong job. Again, very similar to being unable to leave the wrong relationship, being able to get yourself out of a bad situation, really, is what we're going after here. And then when it comes to having your own business or being an entrepreneur, if you are fear leading your business, if you are operating or leading your business from a place of fear versus trust and fun and just loving the moment, that would be a sign that you have some energy that needs some movement there. And then forcing it too, forcing everything, forcing all of everything I just said, forcing a relationship, forcing money, forcing business and career, any sort of force. Again, remember, that is the same thing as being stuck. And these are, again, like I mentioned, just the tip of the iceberg of possible scenarios that could be going on in your life that are not actually just bad luck, or it's just the way things are for you, or this is just how it's going to be. It's because you have stuck energy. You are not in alignment. It's that simple. And that means it's also can be that simple to change things, to get out of these life circumstances, to have a better life, to have a better existence, to feel better about everything, and to love what you're doing, how you're spending your time here, and to find exactly what you want. Woohoo! Great news. Why is this so? Let's talk about this a little bit. Why is this the case? It's all about vibrational energy. So wait, before you think I'm getting woo-woo, you start rolling your eyes and be like, oh, it's going to be this kind of podcast. Give me a minute. Like I said, open mind here. Trust me, I felt that resistance when I first started too. We're going to talk more about this vibrational energy next week. And don't worry, we're not going to get into the super scientific background of it all. We're going to keep it very practical. So make sure you tune in to learn more about why you or how you are manifesting this negativity into your physical body. I think it's really super important and helpful to grasp the why behind this in order to take the initiative to change it. Because once you understand why, you'll be like, oh, I could actually probably change that pretty simply, I'm not going to say easy because it's definitely not easy work, but it's a simple change that will then make an enormous impact on your health and happiness and joy and everything that you want in life. But what can we do before we even know the why? We can start thinking about the what. So first things first, list out all of the unstuck symptoms you have. Like I just went through all of that. Now you know it's pretty much everything that's manifesting in you as symptoms, any sort of signs and symptoms. List those out. Then second, after you have the list of what you think is keeping you stuck, just start noticing. Where do your thoughts tend to go when you let them? Are they tending towards being negative or tending towards being positive? You're just noticing your thoughts. You're not doing anything about it, just noticing. Are they frantic, like constant chatter, or is there calmness to your thoughts? Are they based in fear or are they based in love and acceptance? Are you obsessing about little things or remaining focused on the big picture? This is your Unstuck homework for the week. We're just working on awareness. We're not going to try to change anything or feel bad if we do notice that we have the constant chatter and that we're negative and that we speak in fear terms a lot, even inside our heads to ourselves. We're not going to worry about any of that. Don't beat yourself up. Don't really think anything of it except that you're building awareness. You are becoming aware of your thoughts. It's almost like you're an outsider looking into your brain and how it acts when we're not guiding it, when we're not teaching it what to do. When it's left to its own devices, how does that look? So be open, be aware, write things down if it would help. That's all we're going to do this week. And then next week, we're going to look deeper into how our thoughts turn into emotions and how our emotions are the real drivers here. Our emotions create our actions, our responses, and of course, manifest themselves into our physical body, keeping us from feeling as good as we could possibly feel and keeping us stuck. And that's why we're here. We are here to get unstuck. If this resonated with you at all, stick around. I promise you are going to feel like a different person with a whole new outlook, and your physical body will feel better too as soon as you learn how to get unstuck. And also remember, if you know someone who needs to get unstuck themselves, if we're going down this list of those symptoms and you know your friend has most of those or a lot of those, your mom, your sister, bring them here. Please share the podcast with them, or maybe your whole Instagram following needs some help getting unstuck, which to be honest, they most likely do. Lots of women are walking around with at least one of these symptoms, but more than likely at least 10. Share the love, send them over to the Unstuck podcast, pay it forward. We all will appreciate that gesture so much. All right, that's it, ladies. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Be sure to find me over on Instagram at Sean Miner and show me what you're up to. Show me what tools you're using to get unstuck. All right, ladies, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 2 of Unstuck for a little sneak peek preview. And like I said, head over now to episode 3 to learn more about how to unstick yourself. That will be the go-to very first, very beneficial episode for you to listen to, episode 3 of the Unstuck podcast. And I will see you back here next week. Take care.